mean, mode, and median of grouped data. We were given this table, and with this table we were told that these are basically the grades of students in a given 12th grade class. 0 to 9 they were 3 students, then 10 to 19 there were 5 students, then also 20 to 29 we had only 6 students, 30 to 39 there were 9 students, and 40 to 49 8 students, and lastly 7 students managed to get an A. Now with this information we are supposed to get the mean, the median, and lastly the mode using this data. Now let us go ahead and begin by taking care of the mean. The mean is basically denoted by x bar, that is an x with a dash on it, and it is given by the summation of f of x divided by the summation of f. You notice that we have a column of frequency here, that is basically f, so you can get the summation by adding this 3 plus 5 plus 6, then plus 9 plus 8, and lastly plus 7. And this gives us a total of 38 as the summation of f. The next thing we need is the summation of f of x. But you notice that we don't have the column of fx. So we need to get first the column of x. That is basically the column for the midpoints. So we shall have midpoints x. To get the midpoint is basically the addition of the lower limit and the upper limit divided by 2. For instance, for this first class 0 to 9, it shall be 0 plus 9, then we divide the result by 2, that shall be 4.5. Then we move to the next class 10 to 19, so it shall be 10 plus 19, that gives us 29, 29 divided by 2, that gives us 14.5. Then 20 to 29 shall be 20 plus 29 to give us 49. 49 divided by 2, that is 24.5. Then 30 to 39 shall be 30 plus 39, which is 69. Dividing this by 2 gives us 34.5. For the next, it shall be 44.5. And lastly, for 50 to 60, it shall be 55 as our x. Now having got x, we can easily now get fx, because it is basically the multiplication of f and x. For instance, for this one it shall be 3 multiplied by 4.5, and that gives us 13.5. Then 5 multiplied by 14.5, that gives us 72.5. Then next it is 6 multiplied by 24.5 to get 147. Then 9 by 34.5, that gives us 310.5. Then 8 multiplied by 44.5, that gives us 356. And lastly 7 by 55, that is 385. Now we need to get the summation of f of x, which is basically the addition of all these values: 13.5 plus 72.5 plus 147 plus 310.5 plus 356, and lastly plus 385. And this gives us a total of 1284.5 as the summation of f of x. So to get x bar, we basically substitute these values: 1284.5 divided by 38, and this is basically 33.8, and this is our mean. Next, we need to get the median. We can have the table that we had initially. So for the median, we are going to introduce a new concept, that is basically the cumulative frequency. And cumulative frequency, it is normally denoted by CF. So we can add here another column for cumulative frequency. Now to get the cumulative frequency, it's very easy and interesting. For the first cumulative frequency, it shall be this frequency, which is 3. But now for the next cumulative frequency, we use this row. It shall be this frequency 5 plus the cumulative frequency of the previous class. And for our case, it is 3. So 5 plus 3, that gives us 8. Next, the frequency is 6. We add this to the previous class cumulative frequency, which is 8, to get a total of 14. Next, it is 9. 9 plus the previous class cumulative frequency, which is 14, gives us a total of 23. The next frequency, it is 8. So this shall be 8 plus the previous class cumulative frequency, and of course our previous class cumulative frequency is 23. So 23 plus 8 gives us a total of 31. And last, we have this frequency, which is 7. We add the previous class cumulative frequency, which is 31, and 7 plus 31, that is basically 38. So we have our final cumulative frequency as 38. And you notice that this one is basically the same as the summation of f, because we are just adding the frequencies. And normally, when adding the cumulative frequencies, ensure that your final value is the same as the summation of the frequencies. Now, having got the cumulative frequency, we can now get the median, which is basically given by L plus, in bracket, the summation of f divided by 2 minus the cumulative frequency before divided by f median multiplied by height. Now, we shall go through all these terms until you understand them. But first, let's get the median class. The median class is normally got using this formula, the summation of f divided by 2. For our case, the summation of f is 38, and this divided by 2 is actually 19. And this is normally the first step in solving for the median. Now, having got 19, in our CF column, we look for a CF value which is greater or equal to the summation of f divided by 2. And for our case, the summation of f divided by 2 is 19. So in our table, the value that is actually immediately greater than 19 is 23. We also have 31 and 38, but the immediate one is 23. So we pick the immediate greater or equal value. So what we do, we highlight the whole of this row. Now let us get L. L is basically the lower limit in the highlighted region. For our case, it is 30. But you notice that between 29 and 30, there is a difference of 1. To cater for that difference, we normally divide 1 by 2 to get 0.5. So for the lower limit, we normally subtract 0.5. And for the upper limit, we normally add 0.5 from 30 to get 29.5. Then the next thing we can get is CF before. This is basically the cumulative frequency before the highlighted region. And for our case, it is 14. Then F median. F median is basically the frequency in the highlighted region. For our case, it is 9. So we can have this as 9. Lastly, we need H. To get H, we once again consider this highlighted region class, which is 30 to 39. We get our H by subtracting upper limit minus the lower limit. Remember, for the upper limit, we add 0.5, and for the lower limit, we subtract 0.5. And 39.5 minus 29.5, that gives us 10 as our H. We can also get H by subtracting this value and this value. That is 39 minus 29, and that gives us 10. For such, you don't need to add or subtract the 0.5. Now, since we have all the values we need, we can substitute them in our formula so that we can get the median. So the median will be given by 29.5 plus 19 minus 14, which is 5, and 5 over 9, it is 0.55. Multiplying this by 10, we get 5.55. Adding this to 29.5, we get our median as 35.05. Now, having got the median, the last thing we need is the mod. Now, the mod also has its formula, and it is basically given by L plus F1 minus F0 divided by 2F1 minus F0 minus F2, and the all of this value get here, we multiply it by H. Now the first thing to get, it is basically F1, which is the highest frequency, and for our case, it is 9. Then F0. F0 is basically the frequency before the highest frequency, which is 6. Then F2, it is the frequency after the highest frequency, and for our case it is 8. Then we also need L, and L, it is the lower limit in the highest frequency row, and for our case it is 30. And remember, because we have 29 to 30, there is a gap of 1, we subtract 0.5 to get 29.5. And lastly, our H, we got it as 10 by subtracting 39.5 minus 29.5, or 39 minus 29. We first solve this. 18 minus 6 minus 8, that is 4. Then 3 over 4 multiplied by 10, that gives us 7.5. And adding 7.5 to 29.5, that gives us 37 as the mod. These are the 3 solutions that you're supposed to get. Hopefully you've understood the concept of mean, median, and mode of grouped data. And if so, ensure you subscribe to our channel for more. Thank you for watching this video.